What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. That is Fuji. I am Al Norley, and together we are at the 50 with Fuji and Fleet. And later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Bowie TV president and Commanders reporter, Miss Candy Waller, to help us to talk about this NFC East Championship game coming up.
Al, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Championship week. As you said, the NFC East showdown. I think the last time we actually did face an NFC East team was Dallas 1980 when we went to Super Bowl 15. Our first Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, it's, I don't know, we said all year, it doesn't matter what your record is, good, neither good or bad. It's a heavyweight fight, and I think, I just had a feeling last week that Washington was going to knock Detroit, but I didn't really see them going in there and just laying a shot on the jaw and just knocking that team out completely.
Right.
Like they just went in, took care of business, and dropped the hammer.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of the NFC Championship. A lot of people, they hear the name NFC Championship Game, they don't really know the history behind it.
Right.
And according to records, at one point there was a NFL and there was a AFL.
Right.
And the NFL had 16 teams and the AFL had 10. That was pre-merger. And once the merger started, Baltimore Colts, Cleveland Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers went over to the AFL, which now you got two leagues, the NFC and the AFC.
Right.
And that's how the NFC Championship game got started, 1971, which was right after the 70 season. And the first game was the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. So that is a little bit of the history of how the NFL championship got started.
Actually, if you look at the first 2 years, it was the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, absolutely.
I did not know that.
Yeah. I think the first one, Dallas won, 17-10.
Yeah, I got it.
I forget about the second one.
17-10. The first one, and Dallas won 14-3. The second game.
Right. Okay.
So, nice piece of history here.
Yeah. And just a little bit more. Just trying to stall some time before Miss Candy get up here.
Right.
San Francisco 49ers have been to 19 NFC Championship. The Dallas Cowboys have been to 14.
I did not
know. The
that.
LA Rams have been to 11, and the Philadelphia Eagles have been to 9. Well, this upcoming will make the ninth one. And they have a 4-4 record. Whereas San Francisco have an 8-11, the Cowboys have a 8-6, and the Ram has a 5-6. So that is the history of the NFC Championship Series.
Very interesting. As you say, you learn something new every day, and I definitely did not look back on this history, which. Myself, I love this nostalgic, throwback stuff that, you really never really took notice till checking it out. And
yeah, absolutely.
Whatnot. But
And,
It's
one thing that I didn't know until I did this research, but the Seattle Seahawks are the only team that has played in both the NFC Championship game and the AFC Championship game.
right because they originally were in they were an expansion team, I believe,
Yep.
in the early to mid 70s, and they originally were in the AFC West.
Yes, absolutely.
That
Matter of fact, I had one of my high school classmates. He played running back at Notre Dame, and he
okay.
ended up when they first had the very first supplemental draft.
Mm-hmm.
He was in that, and he was drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. I believe that was in '78 or '79.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's probably played with I don't know if Jim Zorn was there, Steve
Yes,
Largent.
he did. Yep.
Steve Largent,
Yep,
who
absolutely.
actually broke a lot of I think Jerry Rice broke a lot of his records at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But let me, I don't know if you really want to dive into you want to go back. I mean, the Eagles, and at the time, being the Washington Redskins, I mean, the history goes probably at least 100 years.
Yeah.
Because I think the Washington franchise came into the league a year before the Eagles did,
Mm-hmm.
or it was around. Well, the Eagles came in, inception was 33,
1933. Yep.
right? And I know Washington was maybe that same year, or maybe a year or two before the Eagles
Mm-hmm.
franchise. Well, originally, the Eagles being the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets,
Right.
and let me ask you your take now, and you've been seeing the guys practice this week now. What, from your expertise, what's your take of what kind of mood are these guys in as a business? They
Yeah.
seem laid back.
I mean, we didn't go there today. I don't think they had their regular practice, maybe a
Right.
walkthrough or something, but tomorrow I have them full practice. But one thing I can safely say that they are all business all the time. Even last week, I think I had them for 3 days: Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a short ride from the Novacara to the Link, but
Right.
they had buses to do that, and they was all business on the bus, but at least they was loose though too. I
Right.
didn't see any signs of anybody being uptight, anything like that.
Would
So
you? Oh, I know you say you see them tomorrow, but would you say their attitude was basically the same as last week? Just you're playing to go to the Super Bowl. You got the NFC crown on the line here, and it's just come out and take care of business.
yeah, like I said, I wasn't there today, but just knowing the guys the way I know them,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything has changed as the team is concerned. I mean, they know what they're up against. They know what's in front of them. They know their goals, so they're not going to change their habits just
Right.
because their habits is what got them here, and so
Right.
they're going to do the same thing. The only difference is the intensity rises up each game.
Right.
Each step you go, the intensity rises up. But the preparation, in my opinion, is the same. They don't change anything because of the wild card. They didn't change anything because of the divisional round.
Right.
And I doubt very seriously they change anything because of the conference championship. They just uh, intensify the on-field play, the mindset, and so yeah, it's all business like. That's my opinion.
Just as far as this injury talk about Jalen Hurts, I mean, do you see him limping at all, or is he just?
No,
Got a
I
brace
didn't
on,
see
or
anything at all, and like I said, I haven't seen him today.
right?
But out of the uh, reports last week and the TV times out, and even after the game coming into the tunnel, I didn't notice anything. I hear some reporters say, "Look at Jalen, he's limping," but I didn't see that. You
Nah,
know, um, and I haven't seen any report this evening. Like I
right.
know I got a report from you for the Commanders, their injury report, but I
Right.
haven't seen anything on TV. Actually, I haven't been on TV all day today. Been doing a
I
lot of other things and watching the phone and see if I see any news, but I haven't seen anything.
I just happened to see Miss Waller post that, so I figured I'd
Hmm.
send it to you. Just
Right.
I don't know if they're right. One of their offensive linemen, I'm trying to think it, Sam Cosme. I don't know if
Hmm.
he's out for the year, but that was the rumor, I think, after the Detroit game. But I mean,
Right.
Miss Waller logs on, definitely
Yeah.
chime in about that. But I think what it's going to come down to, the Eagles are just going to have to find a way to get to Jaden Daniels, because if they can get this pass rush off the ends, Nolan Smith, not Keith Sweat, I'm sorry, um,
Keith Sweat.
um, Josh Sweat.
Hmm.
Hopefully Jalen Carter can barrel through him. Milton Williams, the Jomo, and those guys can, get to him quick. I think that's just how you're going to have to shut Jaden Daniels down, because you don't want him to get out in the flat. I mean, the first matchup, the Eagles basically kept him in check at the link for 18 yards,
Hmm.
where he really wasn't running around as much. But, week 16, which basically was a month ago, we played Washington down there, and he ran rough shot for 81 yards. So, but Jalen going down in the game really, the game really, that's really when it turned the tide there. And
Hmm.
you know, Barkley was dominating, but then they stacked 7, 8 men in the box and shut them down. So,
Yeah. Well,
I,
especially in this case, we always say, they know each other well. They played
right,
each other twice, but each time,
mm-hmm,
this is going to be a totally different game from the first, from the second.
mm-hmm,
Like I said, simply because the intensity is going up,
right,
and for whatever films that the Eagles are watching, whatever films that the Commanders are watching, they're going to see some of the same things that they saw on films. But both teams are also going to have new wrinkles in there just because we know each other. You think you know us, we think you know you. And so there are going to be some new wrinkles in there that both teams is going to have to look out for. And I guess that's what being a professional is all about, because you don't you look for everything and anything.
of
You
course.
you don't just go by what I seen the last time, because the
Well,
last time is the last time.
just a tidbit. I mean, somebody made a good point of it. You know, Kellen Moore and Dan Quinn were basically the coordinators in Dallas, a couple of years ago, and they,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, pretty much went up against each other in practices every, couple
Yeah,
seasons in a row. So, it's going to be a good chess match right there. But then you're going to have Cliff Kingsbury and Vic Fangio going round 3. So it's going to be a nice little chess match between those
absolutely.
4 guys.
Yep. And whoever has the most intensity, the most will, a little bit of luck, because sometimes the ball bounces this way, the ball bounces
Right.
that way. But with all the training and with all the film watching, uh, it's going to require a little bit more intensity, which is not going to be a problem. They're going to have the intensity. Both teams are, and
Right.
I really don't see. I'm. What do you know what the line is on this game?
I believe it was 5 or 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, though, give me one
So
second. I I know. I thought it started off at 5.5 Sunday night after the Eagles did win.
hmm. Yeah, but whatever it is, it's Sometime it's worth looking at, sometime it's not, because this is a beast of a different animal right now because of what it is and because of the intensity going to get raised up a lot higher. So it's going to be a good one. I really feel that. I feel we're gonna pull out with it. It's not going to be a blowout either way, but whoever
Right.
has the most intensity and the most will is going to be heading on to New Orleans.
Right now, the Eagles are favored by laying 6 to Washington. The over/unders 47.5 for anybody out there betting.
Hmm.
I'm sure they got the lines out there. I mean, just to, I don't know if you want to dive into the AFC matchup since we still waiting on this Waller, but I mean,
Go
I
ahead.
don't know. It's just seems like, I guess anybody can say you could cry, but it's just Kansas City just seems to be getting these calls. And,
Hmm.
if you really look at the play from the divisional rounds, I mean, Lamar Jackson got taken out, cheap shot at I thought. Jared Goff got basically hit under the helmet. Not Jalen looked like he got hit at one point against the Rams. Nothing called. Like,
Hmm.
you know, going back to that Houston Kansas City game, even Stroud looked like he got hit, but it's just you can't even breathe on Patrick Mahomes, and nobody just flags are just thrown all over the place. And
Yeah.
honestly, it better be. It's a disgrace because I don't want to say it's fixed, but a lot of people throwing it out there. But it's like I don't want to see no damn Kansas City Chiefs dynasty like New England. Just my take of it. I
Right.
mean, hey, if you're going to hit the guy, just get by him $50,000 and hit him good. Ring his bell. I don't want to say kill the guy. Don't give him a
Mm.
concussion, but it's
Well,
just it's a joke. It burns the average fan up
yeah. I've
because
been hearing a lot of that today because they was earlier this morning
right.
because they were showing some clips, and there were a clip when they called when Patrick got hit.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I seen, he was going down and almost got sandwiched. But really, the two guys hit each other, and they didn't
Yeah,
they
they
didn't touch
collided.
Patrick.
Right.
So but they got the call. But that's what
No,
it
no.
is, and the players know it, the league know it. It's something that they just have to
Well,
deal with.
I'm done with the whole Travis Kelsey and what's her
Hmm.
name? I can't think of it.
Oh, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm just done with that whole scene. Turn the page. Get over it, Goodell. Move on. But
This
I don't want
time
to get too fired up with it.
they had Caitlin up in the booth with him this week.
Ugh. Like, do we really need to see Taylor Swift? Like, she has no purpose in the game of the NFL.
Mm.
It's just, all right, it was good for a bit, but it's old now. It's
Right,
played out.
right.
Move on. Turn the page. Then it's a new year.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's she haven't got on
This
yet,
doesn't
but
mix.
let's talk about the comparison of the
Ooh, I think I lost.
quarterbacks.
Oh, there it is. Oh, no, my mic was headphones were going in and out.
Okay. Okay. All right, yeah, let's talk about the comparison of the quarterbacks. There has been and continue to be so much talk about Jalen not doing this, Jalen not doing that. And then you're a lot of talk about how wonderful uh, Jaden is. And when you look at the comparison, Jaden Daniel has 480 attempts, 333 completion,
Right.
with 3,568 yards, 20 TDs, and 6 interception. And whereas Hurt has 360 attempts with 248 completion 29, 2,903 with 18 TDs and 5, with a rating completion of 68%. And Jalen has a rate completion of 69%. So they're really not that far off, but for some reason, Jalen Hurt has, I guess, the most damaging. I don't know what to call it, but for some reason, people do not like his play. I mean, sure, he's not passing like he did at one point, but at the same time, the offense is not calling for that.
Well, let's just say this. I mean, you look at Mahomes, you look at Josh Allen's numbers last week. In the 100s, they really didn't have to pay. They didn't pass much. Jalen. Wait.
Jalen.
Jalen. Jaden. The guy's getting ridiculed. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about winning games.
Yeah.
I mean, you brought in Saquon Barkley in the offseason to take the pressure off Jalen Hurts, where he didn't have to go out and run the way he has the last couple years. You brought in Vic Fangio. The guy's got the number one defense in the NFL, the first time since the Eagles were the number one defense since 1991. And if it ain't broke, why fix it now?
Right.
Saquon Barkley's got you this far. The defense has been playing lights out. They always say it's running the ball in defense which wins championships. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. You get into December, you get into January in the playoffs, you pound the rock. But smash mouth football. You're going back to it. Baltimore went after Derrick Henry. They came up short, which basically Buffalo held Derrick Henry to, I think, 84 yards on Sunday night. But, Saquon Barkley and King Henry were 1 and 2 as far as, leading the NFL in rushing. And that's what, you brought Derrick Henry in to take the pressure off Lamar Jackson. They came up short, but again, it's just the running game has been rejuvenated. And, I appreciate it because, running backs were getting scarce all these years, and a lot of these guys weren't getting paid. And Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley defied the odds and basically brought smash mouth football back to the NFL this season, which is great because, the run sets up the pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. Now, I remember seeing Saquon his first few years with the Giants.
Right.
And he was good, but nothing compared to what he is right now. And sometimes I just think it's, he's in another body or something, Well, he goes out there, man, and he goes off.
Well, they disrespected him. It was the GM and the Mara family didn't want to pay him. You paid Daniel Jones. You basically let Barkley walk, which, that's a gift from the New York Giants. And, we do thank the New York Giants organization for allowing Howie Roseman to go out and bring Saquon home. And, it's paid big time dividends for the Eagles this season.
Yeah. So
and besides, Saquon didn't have an offensive line in New York, and now he's just ran roughshod over the leg for 2,000 some yards, and congratulations to him. And
so now let me ask you this. Now, a few weeks back, we was talking about him going for the record. Should he or should he not? In light of the things that you've seen the 2 games since that time, what is your opinion on that? Are you glad that he didn't go for it because he's just still running wild, or what? What's your opinion on it?
I would have let him break it, but it's I believe in his wholeheartedly. He did want to break it.
Hmm.
But then you look, it's kind of like a double-edged sword because the Eagles really didn't have a bye week since week 5, and they basically played what, like 12, probably 13 weeks in a row. And, just this team needed a breather, which they got, against the Giants. But I think, like we talked, I would have just played him the first half that game.
Right.
If he didn't break it, all right, you get him out of there. He tried. But,
Hmm.
it's honestly deep down, I know he said his family wanted him to more so than he did. But I think not just him, but the offensive line, the offensive line, they like to mix it up down the field, pounding the ball. And I'm sure Lane, the whole Mulata, all those guys, wanted to be a part of history. And so, I think they wanted to get in on it just to be a part of history to see Saquon break it.
Right. Now, speaking of the offensive line, those guys, like you say, they've been opening up some holes and making it so easy. I want to show you something here,
Excuse
and
me.
I'm gonna.
Excuse me, Al.
Yeah.
Miss Waller, she said she'll be on soon.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
All right. I want you to check this out. This is Jalen Hurts' first touchdown run. And if you just look at that line, especially right here, I don't know who that is. Oh, that might be
Lane Johnson.
Yeah. Now watch the holes that they opening up. I mean, it was big enough to run my bus through that hole, man.
Right.
So for that purpose in itself,
right,
I would love to have seen him get the record because they would have got so much recognition for that and to have so much pride in it, but it is what it is, and at least he's fresh now, and he's doing great with it.
I think he's just not just him, it's the whole team. I just think these guys are on a mission. He's having his taste of playing on a dominating team this year. Jalen and Lane Johnson, Brandon Graham. Those guys, they've all the guys from 2 years ago, you dominated 2022, you got to the Super Bowl, and you came up short. I just, left the bad taste in their mouth, the collapse last year. And these guys, I just think everybody's on the same page. There's no finger pointing in that locker room. It's a different, it's just a different culture in there. Sirianni, they're buying into him. Hey, the guy, we were all ready to run him out of town after that Buccaneers debacle, and hey, here he is.
Right.
The guy's got him in the playoffs 4 years in a row, and hey, if, 2 NFC championships in 4 years. Yeah. Now, if he can get him back to the Super Bowl, hey, you got to give credit where it's due. All right, you brought Fangio in, but you brought Kellen Moore in, but as we said, the running game, the defense got you here. So, there's mission 59, and you got one more. You just got to come out and take care of business. Play 60 minutes of smart football this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can contain Jaden Daniels and not turn the football over, you win. That's all there is.
That's going to be something that they, because that boy's bad. Now, Jalen, he's playing out of his mind, but I don't have any doubts. I think we can do it, man.
I believe we can. It's this team went on to win 12 out of 13 weeks after starting 2-2, and it's usually, as we said, the first month is really like preseason because a lot of these guys don't play in the preseason, and it takes at least maybe 6 weeks before you really get to know what the team is and the cohesiveness of everybody coming together.
Right.
So
what do you feel about Jalen Carter? How do you see his play?
Jalen Carter is on his way, or already is now, a modern day Jerome Brown. Mm-hmm. And I know Seth Joyner has said that, because I know Seth Joyner and Jerome Brown were like this. And Jalen Carter, getting that sack on Matt Stafford basically iced that game on Sunday night. But he's dominated all year. He's played in 2 playoff games already. He started out dominating last year, but I guess just ran out of gas, him and Jordan Davis. But it's like a rejuvenated Jalen Carter. I mean, Nolan Smith, who saw him? I mean, I questioned the Eagles when they in the offseason trading Hassan Reddick, like who was going to pick up the slack of those 27 sacks in 2 years. But
right,
Vic Fangio, I don't know what he did to this team, but Nakobe Dean stepped it up. Zach Bond, Vic Fangio saw something in him from he was like a 3-4 pass rusher on New Orleans and a special teams guy. And Fangio, I guess, told Howie, go out and get him. And Eagles got some question marks going into the offseason. Not only that, not only on defense, but I mean, Mikw Becton, a former #1 pick from the Jets. Howie went out, snatched him up in April or May, $5 million. You plugged him in at right guard. And, the guy's played, Jeff Stoutland has rejuvenated his career. That's another issue the Eagles are going to have. Are you going to pay Mikw Becton? Or are you going to pay Zach Bond? And honestly, if I'm Howie Roseman, let's get through this season first. But I don't know what's going to happen in the offseason, especially the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. And I hate to say it, but there are a lot of guys that are going to want to get paid, and they deserve it. I was thinking of this the other day. I think basically Saquon Barkley already outplayed his contract. If you
but I don't think he's the type of person that after 1 year to come back and say, look what I did, so now pay me. I really hope he doesn't do that.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that, but I mean, he put up 2,000 plus yards. Maybe not next year, but it's food for thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because remember back in 05, 06, Brian Westbrook basically outpaid his contract, and the Eagles finally rewarded him. But it's just just a phenomenal talent. It's just the whole nucleus and the cohesiveness of the Eagles. Saquon Barkley wouldn't be where he is without this Eagles offensive line.
Yeah.
And it's as we said, not only the defense, but Saquon Barkley got you here. And let's give credit to Jay when he's taking his heat. Without Jalen in there, say you're going to be in a dual threat running that ball. Saquon Barkley's not going to take off through that line like it is because, hey, look at Jalen as the video you just showed. Right. Without Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley being in there, it's a whole different animal.
Absolutely.
And props. Everybody stop. Give Jalen Hurts props. The guy knows how to win. And that the bottom line is the end of the 60 minutes, a win's a win.
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's not how us fans
Well,
us
hey,
fans see it, you know. But yeah,
well, I mean, really, how many average quarterbacks have won Super Bowls over the years? You know, just with the right pieces around them.
right, right.
And there has been a lot of average quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
But I guess they, like you say, would, and I think that's why most of the media is saying that the Eagles have the best team because all around person, individual by individual,
well,
we got some studs out there.
let's say this. Unfortunate, we lost to Kobe Dean, who had over 100 tackles, was
Hmm.
playing lights out, and it just seemed that Oren Burks and Trotter have stepped in, and
Yeah, yeah,
and you know personally Jeremiah Trotter.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
who's going to learn better than his son?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, the Axeman being a legend in this town. Like,
Hmm.
you're going to pass on the best knowledge. His son was, started St. Joe's Prep, was a stud at Clemson, and luckily enough, Howie went out, drafted Jeremiah Trotter.
Yeah.
Warren Burks was a nice pickup from San Fran, so it's a big loss, but next man up. Just like 2017, we lost Darren Sproles, Jason Peters, Jordan Hicks, but Carson Wentz, Nick Foles stepped in,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Let
I know
me.
you were there and you
Oh
saw
yeah.
the
Oh yeah.
firsthand.
Oh yeah. I want to show you another play, and it's on the Barkley 78 yards run. No, not that.
From the other
Yeah,
night.
yeah. This ain't the one I wanted, but I'm gonna show you this one too, because I think it was both Lane Johnson, and then you have Malata and the center on that left side, and
Cam
they just
Jurgens.
wipe people out of the way. Check this out. Okay, he's going to be running left here as
Right.
Malata, and he's going to push a guy out. The center going to loop around and push this guy this way, and he got a big hole right there.
There he goes off to the races.
Yeah, let me back it up here.
I love this stuff.
Oh
The
yeah,
old 22.
yeah. And this guy, he just goes wild. I mean, I love watching him, and this is a different angle now. And watch over here on the right hand side. I mean that again.
I
You could drive 3 buses through that hole.
Right. Well, that's the play I think where Saquon said something to Jalen
Yeah, yeah,
where they were talking during the play or before he got the play. Oh,
yeah. Most of the media is saying that he's saying watch this, but when he was talking, he was saying that he asked Jalen, "Am I on the right side?" So who knows what we said? All we
right.
know is Jalen
Maybe.
seen it, he checked into that play, and here
Well, maybe.
again, if he's
Well,
not a good quarterback, how you going to see that and check into it? So
well,
you know,
if you get into talking to those guys, maybe if you could say, well, what was the conversation before you hike the ball?
mm,
Maybe you could ask that down the road and say, remember that Rams divisional game, just to
yeah,
get
that
just
would definitely have to be somewhere on a personal basis because
right,
what one thing and I've had drivers to do that, talk to the player, ask what about this play, what about that play, and that's something we don't do. That's something we
right,
don't do. But sometimes I have been in a situation where we've been sitting down and eating, and
right.
we'll ask a player, I remember this game, that game. We in a personal environment there,
Hmm.
and just me and him, and he would give a little tidbits here and there, but especially around other players. You don't go up and ask something like that, especially when we are simply just drivers.
Right. I know.
So now, okay, I think here she is here. Hold
Okay.
on 1 second there. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you all doing?
We're doing
Good,
well.
Miss Waller. Welcome.
Hello. I apologize for my tardiness.
No
That's okay.
problem.
The
point is that you are here now.
I am.
We were just chopping it up and.
Let me introduce you. Everybody, this is Candy Waller, better known as Miss Candy. She is the Bowie TV president and also reporter for the Washington Commanders. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to explain this to my audience too. So I was like, I hope this works. Let's see what happens.
Welcome to 50. We appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you all for having me. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I know we tried a couple times to get you on, but I know schedules just didn't coincide. But here we are.
Now, all right, let's get into it. We got about 20 minutes left. Let's get into this thing here. We're talking about this upcoming weekend NFC Championship game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. Now, how long have you been with as a reporter for the Commanders?
I've been on site with the Commanders now for 7 years. I started, I guess it's going on 8 because I started everything in 2017 when I started my business, Wallse Sports and Entertainment. And then from there, you kind of move forward to 2021 when I got to Bowie TV, located in Bowie, Maryland. Homegrown, hometown. So I, grew up there and reside there. So I've been there and I've still just kind of transitioned. I still, have my businesses, but been solely dedicated to Bowie TV since I think it was August 2021.
Okay.
And so that's my media credentials is through Bowie TV with the company.
Yeah, I got family in that area. Actually, I got a nephew, and my sister lives in Laurel.
Oh, wow!
Right too far from Bowie.
Yeah, right up the street.
Okay, now I was watching when I'm doing this research on you, and at the beginning of the season, you were on the Toyota Sports Show with Scott Abraham. And he had asked you, what are you looking for in week 1? And one of your answers was how Jaden Daniels is going to do. So now I'm going to ask you this question from that time up to a few days before the NFC Championship game. What have you seen in Jaden Daniels?
Jaden Daniels is as advertised. I remember when the team drafted Jaden, and I remember how, Adam Peters described Jaden, and everything Adam said about Jaden is true. And he made a comment about, it's just something about him as like a competitor. And when he gets out on the field, he mentioned it's like he takes your soul, is what he said. Right. And I'm like, because this is back in April, like, okay, Adam, this is a little intense. But as Adam Peters continues to improve every day, some of the things that I think are a little intense or ambitious or whatever the case may be, he proves me wrong each and every time, because that comment has stuck out so much to me that he said that, because he's absolutely correct. Jaden is a phenomenal. He's been a joy to cover on site. You could all the things you see of him on TV, that is him. And I shared this on my shows early on. I said it is something about, though, when that kid gets on that football field, he's different. He is a competitor, still ultimate, just a Christian, loves God, and is a cool person. You see what he does out there with other teams, right? You can tell he's just a good human. but he wants to win football games.
Mm-hmm.
Just for the Eagles fans, in our area, like as you're saying about Jayden Daniels, just seems like a very humble, down-to-earth person in his interviews. Not about me; it's all about team culture and team first. But he just seems like, as you're saying, he's just very humble. The way he carries himself, and he, definitely rookie of the year, and he's just changed that whole culture. You like you said, you've been covering, the Washington franchise for 7-8 years, and I know, we're familiar with Josh Harris here in Philly owning the Sixers, and not just that, but bringing in Dan Quinn, and just can you just touch on what the Washington organization is like now compared to when it was under Daniel Snyder?
I mean, it's night and day. I think that, I mean, it's been an organization, but in terms of just, I would say, overall professionalism, and folks that just know what they're doing, and folks that are full of good people. I don't know if you, I know you all are Eagles fans, but I don't know how much you listen to Dan Quinn's press conferences, and he calls us by our names, right? He ensures he knows everyone that is on the daily beat and on the daily grind, because we're there with them every day. Every day they practice for the most part, right? And we're on the road as well. So his attitude, and you see that in the press conferences, that's the attitude of everyone. Adam, Pete, everyone, from the ownership on to the, athletic trainers and equipment managers. So they are good people. They're very professional. They're very smart. They're going to bring their best selves to work every single day. And you just didn't get that before. You just didn't. It was just kind of like media, okay, and kind of who cares or whatever. No one really tried to get to know you or just really acknowledged you as being someone who is giving a lot of themselves as well in terms of time to be there on site with the team every day. So
I don't know if a lot of people know this, but not just Josh Harris, but Magic Johnson's in on the ownership as well.
Yes. Yep. He is part of the Josh Harris ownership group with the Washington Commanders as a limited partner. And, Josh Harris, of course, is the, majority owner. And then there's several others as well that's in that group. So, yes, Magic Johnson is definitely one of the owners. And we do see him around, if that's a question. Well, we do see him around. He's spoken to the team on several occasions. And so he's just another one of those really great people that have a lot to offer to the organization and the community as well.
Now, I can definitely testify to Dan Quinn. I've been knowing him for quite a few years when he was with Atlanta and Dallas, because whenever they come to Philly, I'm one of the first person that they have to deal with. And Dan Quinn has always been a very nice person, and a lot of times when you're dealing with professional athletes and coaches and stuff, there's a stigma about them where if you're not on their level, they don't have a lot to say to you. But Dan has never been that way, and every time he sees me, he acknowledges me. Oh man, you still here? And so I can attest to him being that type of a person,
Yeah, no, he's fantastic. If it was one thing that I was completely wrong about this season, it was about Dan Quinn. He's absolutely tremendous. I'm glad he's the Washington Commanders head coach.
Okay. All right. Now, getting to the game. Again, you're Washington, so I know the answer, but what is your true feelings about this game coming up this Sunday at 3:00?
Well, I'm a member of the media, so I'm always going to be unbiased, right? As a member of the media, I think it's going to be a war. That's what I think. I think it's going to be an all-out war. Thursday night football, there was a lot going on, right? There was a short week for the Commanders. They had the loss to the Steelers that Sunday. Jaden Daniels was still dealing with his rib injury, but it was still a pretty solid game from a defensive standpoint from the Commanders side of it. They probably played as solid of a game as they could play defensively for about 53 minutes. Then that final bit, Saquon Barkley made them pay for it, right? As soon as he let off their step, he made them pay, which that's what he does.
Right.
So I will say that. But that game in December, round 2, that rematch of just what the NFC East does, right? Or divisions anyway, right? When they see each other twice a year, that was pretty nasty. That game got very nasty fast. And there could be a lot said about who did this, why, this, that, and the third, but guess what? The series is split.
Right.
So you typically will see in the playoffs where if a team has kind of swept another team, they'll say, oh, well, you're not going to beat a team 3 times, or you're not going to do this twice. And the reality is neither one of these teams has beat each other twice.
Right.
So this will be a fight for real, because this is to go to the Super Bowl. This is not a regular season game. This is for a run at the championship, the for real one. This is the one for the ring. And I think it's going to be intense. I don't think anybody should be too pompous, right? And thinking
exactly
either way, right? I don't think anybody should not be pompous about this. I think it'll be a good game. It'll be a good watch. It'll be your money's worth, and it'll be absolutely where the NFC East was the NFC least. You will see that these two teams are, as you see this year, the leaders of the NFC. Now, so each one got where they are fair and square.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Can't nobody. It's nothing debatable, like debatable plays. Maybe here and there, but both teams have earned their right to fight for it all. On Sunday at 3.
Well, as you're saying, I think it's going, like you said, it's going to be an all-out war. This is going to be a heavyweight fight. Who's going to go the distance? I don't know if you may know who Hugh Douglas is. Played for the Eagles. He's on 94 WIP. Yesterday, he made a comment saying, the way, with Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, like this could be a rivalry for the next decade between Washington. We know with free agency where everything changes these days, but it's not only for the NFC title, but this could be bragging rights for the next couple of years in the NFC.
Oh, sure. I mean, they're going to compete during the game. Yeah, they're going to compete during the game, but many of these guys are friends, in real life. Many of them are friends in real life. So we just got to, but and put that in perspective, that's game time, but many of them are friends and work out together in the off season and do all of that. But in terms of what, to your point, Mike, in this could be must-see TV for quite some time, and it will certainly be on Sunday for sure.
Right.
Now, let me ask you, everything is new for you guys, ownership, coaching, quarterback. Now, have you noticed or heard any talk about, like the rest of us, like the Eagles and already with the Lions, they lost their 2 coordinators. Have you heard anybody say anything that they're talking to any of you guys coordinators?
Well, yes. Well, I think one of them is decided now, right? I think Joe Witt Jr. had an interview, I think, with the Jets or something on that regard. But offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury has been very clear from the beginning that he was focused,
right?
And anything else would have to be discussed or even thought about after their season was over, whatever that may be. So they are keeping, the main thing in terms of focusing on the season. And so you're not hearing too much in terms of the coordinators. I mean, there is a great deal of expectation potentially that the Commander's assistant GM, Lance Newmark, may be the GM for the Jets. But again, they're just focused on their still, which is still their active season right now.
Oh, okay. So, go ahead, Mike. I hold this question. Go ahead.
I was going to actually ask you this before, but is Sam Cosme playing this week, or
No,
is he out for the year?
He's out.
Okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to be clear on that. Back to you, Al.
Okay. What is the score?
Oh, I don't do predictions.
You don't do score? Okay. Okay. All right.
I'm gonna keep that consistent.
I hear you. Well, I know one of the things that I'm looking for is Zach Ertz, because we're pretty good friends there. And when they was here the last time, and he got off the plane, he saw me, he came up, we talked, we hugged, and then when they left, same thing. He came up, he said, "Man, it feels good to come back to a city that you played in the first person that you see is you, and the last person that you see is you." So I'm looking forward to seeing him again this year.
Where are you in the stadium? Are you in the stadium?
I'm all over the place because I bring the team in. Matter of fact, I pick up Washington probably 3 or 4 o'clock Saturday evening. And so, but we used to go up in the press room, but all it takes is one person to ruin it. They don't let us up in the press room.
I was going to say, I will make sure you come and find me so I can say hello, because
absolutely.
I'm typically in the tunnel when the team arrives to the stadium. I'm typically there when they get there.
Okay. Well, that'll be me bringing them in there, so I will come in there and say hi to you.
Yes, come in and say hi. I'm one of I normally stand right, like where they come in at. So right by the visitors press room, the visitors room. I'm normally like right there when they're coming in. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we got about 3 minutes left in this hour, and is there anything you want to share with us about the Washington Commanders, in your opinion, or anything you want to share with the Eagles Nation here?
No, I think it's, buckle up. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's, both franchises have a lot to be proud of. It's not, it is a competition, and it is for something very big, and that is a huge opportunity to play at the Super Bowl. So it will, I do hope that level heads prevail, because like I said, that round 2 got a little nasty at some spots. Right. But I think that it's a statement to the division. At least half of it, and both franchises have a lot to be proud of right now. This is what teams don't want to be one of the Final Four, playing for the conference championship and a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So this is a very exciting thing for the East Coast, the NFC East, and these two teams. So it'll be a good thing.
And especially we're so close to each other too, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Was there any keys to the game that you could think of, like off the top of your head,
for either team? Or
yes?
Well, I mean, I think both teams have dynamic quarterbacks, and we know that for the Eagles, the Saquon Barkley has just had an amazing year. What he's done for the Philadelphia Eagles has been absolutely tremendous. For certain, and he's just a hard person to stop overall. But there's a lot of credit to Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of credit to offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, and what they're doing with the organization, Nick Sirianni, to stay consistent and stay a consistent threat is very hard to do. So they're going to be aggressive. The Eagles play with a lot of physicality. They're tough, right? I mean, we talk about the jarring back and forth is one thing, but that defensive line is great. But I think that one of the things, that just both teams got to stay focused. Both teams got to stay focused and not let that jarring get to the best of them. Right? Because the Eagles, one of their players, they got kicked out the game. You don't get kicked out of the game. That's just irresponsible. Right? That's just irresponsible. You're gonna let words get you kicked out of a football game that you needed to win, right?
Exactly.
You need to win all of them. So you can't let your attitude get the best of you and get kicked out because you're a valuable asset. So as much as both teams can play mistake-free football and be very focused, and because a slip, can cost you the football game. Turnovers are always key. Turnovers are always key. And so whoever can create chaos is more than likely the person, the team that's going to come out victorious, meaning creating chaos, getting those picks, forcing those fumbles, forcing those mistakes, forcing third and longs. That's who's going to win. Whoever, because these are two good football teams. They have both teams have absolutely earned the right to play on Sunday. So whoever creates confusion for the other team and does more of it, that'll be the team that comes out victorious.
Right. Okay, good.
Thank you.
All right, well, we want to thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Spending your time with us. And like
Appreciate
I would definitely look for your Sunday when we come in there.
Have a time, for sure.
Thank you for coming on. We deeply appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're
All
welcome.
right, everybody, this
Have a
has
good
been
night.
At the 50 with Fuji and Fleet, and our guest has been Candy Waller of the Washington Nationals. Thank you so much for coming on.
Go Birds.
All right, man. Thank you so much. This has been, you didn't have a lot of time, but it was good the time that you gave us there.
Okay, right.